Hi class. We have a lecture. I will be posting a lecture on correlations and regression. But I wanted to start out by showing you. So watch the or listen to the audio of the lecture in PowerPoint. But I want to go through, and I think it helps a little bit. And so I'll put this video in sort of when I'm giving an introduction to correlations. But I think having an idea of how a correlation is created sort of helps you understand the concept of correlation. So, as I'll talk about in the lecture, the horizontal axis is what we call the x-axis, and then the vertical axis is called y. So typically what we have with correlations is are two different variables, and all we can get from correlations are that there is some sort of relationship. So all we can say is that x is related to y. And during the lecture, I'll give the example of, so there's an example regarding how I believe it's more crime is related to a higher number of churches in a city, but that relationship doesn't mean that churches are causing higher crime in those cities. What that's really showing is that there's, for some reason, churches and crime are related, and that's more related to how big a particular city is. So a bigger city will have more crime because there's more individuals, and it would also most likely have more churches. And so that's why churches and crime may be positively correlated, right? So in your book, so I took this example directly from your book, but it talks about hours of sleep and then happy mood. So do hours of sleep, how are hours of sleep and happy mood related? And so I listed, so for each individual, they got an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So x coordinate I'm having as hours slept, and my y coordinate will be happy mood. So for the first, so each one of these is one participant. So this is participant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for x, for hours slept, for the first participant, they slept 5 hours, and their mood, so I believe it's rated on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being unhappy, 10 being very happy. So they rated a 2. So let me put this out. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. So this is my grid. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Okay. So for the first participant, for the x-axis, for the numbers of hours slept was 5. So I'm going to go over across to 5, and then their mood is a 2. So x-axis 5, and then I'll go up to 2 for y, right? So then the next participant, their x-axis is 7, right? So hours of slept is the x-axis. I can write this down here too. Hours slept. Happy mood is the y. Okay, so they have a 7, and then we go up on the y-axis to 4. It's usually better to use a ruler. And then 8, the third participant has, across the x, has 8, and then the y is 7. Does that look right? So participant 4 has a 6 and a 2. So that's the same level as this second guy, right? Okay. Then next participant is 6 and 3. And then the there's a 10 for our slut, and they have a 6. Okay, so you can see that the trend of this graph, as I talk about during class, so think about, is this a positive or negative correlation, or is there no relation? So when I ask you a question like this on the exam, it's going to be very obvious if it's positive or negative. I'm just trying to get you guys to see what positive, right? So if both x and y are positively related, that means as x increases, y also increases. If x and y are negatively related, then as x goes up, y would go down. And what that would look like, a negative, so this is a positive correlation, right? So you can see, I'm going to just broadly draw a trend line here. So it's positive, right? Because with any increase in x, y is also increasing. Okay? So if it was a negative correlation, so I have my red pen. If a negative correlation, it would go down like this. And what would happen is, as x increases, you can see the corresponding value for y is lower. But as you go lower in x, the corresponding value in y is higher. Okay? So that's this red line is showing a negative correlation, while the data from your book is showing a positive correlation. Okay, hope that helps.